Hi guys, I hope that you are well. I really like it when the idea for videos comes from class teaching or people that I teach, or actually even if just somebody that watches the videos, because I try and put the feelers out there and see what you need at different levels. And I really like it when people who are more advanced have problems as well. Can I just stress and remind you that the people who are more advanced that I work with, I remember when they could do, when they really couldn't do very much at all. So hold on in there, Today's video is dedicated to Alan, who's really put the work in. I have a WhatsApp group for some of my students that I teach so that they can speak to each other. And they all go, oh gosh, isn't his voice good? Isn't his voice good? And really, primarily, the reason his voice is good is because he literally did what he was told when I said, you need to do this. It might not be fun, it might not be, whatever, but you need to sit and do these as exercises. Fine, job done, perfect. So honestly, he's a walking, advert for patience and really following the method. That as it may be, he contacted me the other day with a question. So in anticipation of his class, there's a phrase that had come up in our previous class and he wanted to talk about that. So what this really is getting at is the idea that when you get a muscle memory in your mouth, it will often, in other words, when you get your mouth used to saying one way of saying something, sometimes that will be a little bit of a false friend. It'll pull you on certain occasions. I'm not saying that French that you've got in your mouth is wrong, but it will pull you away from another way of saying something as and when it's needed. And it's just to be mindful of that. So in Al's case specifically, it was when you've got pronouns in two places. So let's basically talk about this. The slogan that I shout out ad infinitum will be, bits before verbs except before an infinitive. And that's what I just keep shouting out, which basically means you put your pronouns together, either before all the verbs, but if there's an infinitive in the sentence, you will put it before the infinitive or the last infinitive. So for example, I speak to him, je lui parle. I'm going to speak to him, je vais lui parler. And if none of that is clear, I will attach to this video that it's an advanced video, so most people watching this should know that. But if that isn't clear, then obviously if you just type pronoun into my channel, then you will get all the pronoun videos. Or just contact me. Yeah, my contact details are in the about. So Al was going, okay, I get that. Yeah, I get that. Also, Al had got it in his brain that if you're hearing the auxiliary have, if you're hearing a have auxiliary, then that generally means that you're using one of the compound tenses. So for example, he said to him, il lui a dit, il lui avait dit, il lui aura dit, il lui aurait dit. The fact that you've got an auxiliary there says, okay, this is not a situation where you're going to have an infinitive, Luke. So it's not like il va lui dire, il veut lui dire. He's like, okay, so auxiliary generally means I need to stick things before the auxiliary, a have auxiliary. So that again makes sense for absolutely most of the time. But then what's happened is that we get phrases where we have to split our... And actually, let's just do one more little bit of something else that we already know. We know what it's like to put pronouns together. So for example, we know the rules, my rules, if you've got two pronouns, if one of which ends in an L, put the L1 last. So, il me le donne, il te la donne, il vous les donne, whatever. If both of them start with an L, start with an L. If both of them start with an L, the longer L1 comes second. So, je le lui donne, je les leur donne, whatever. Obviously, en and I go after everything. So, je lui en parle or something like that. And you guys, if you're watching this video and you consider yourself reasonably intermediate and advanced, you would know that. So altogether then, those are the kind of rhythms that Al has got in his mouth. So the sentence came up, where are we? The other day. where are we? Yeah. So he would never have allowed her to do it. Because I was basically talking about a fantastic friend of mine, Julianne, and how she's now working as a singer. And I said her ex-husband would have just pooped it. So the expression is, he would have never allowed her to do it. Il ne lui aurait jamais permis de le faire. Il ne lui aurait jamais permis de le faire. So I will print that underneath. So Al was like, I'm bothered by this. I'm bothered by this. Il ne lui aurait jamais permis de le faire. And basically, he said he was really struggling to place, well, the le before the faire. And I tried my best, and I was saying, okay, well, let's look at why you're struggling with this. So, je vais faire, I'm going to do, je vais le faire, no problem, okay? He allows, il permet, he allows her, il lui permet, he understood that it was permettre à quelqu'un, and I was trying to work out why it is that he was kind of struggling saying this at speed. Because it's, I mean, with Al, we work on really quick, you know, like, il lui aurait jamais permis de le faire, like, he's really quick. And what we came up with, what I came up with, is that people don't need to realise that in that sentence, the reason there are pronouns in two separate places, now this might be absolutely starkly obvious for, you know, for some of you, is that there's two clausular ideas. There's him and his verb, and her verb. So for example, he would never have allowed her to do it. He's doing the allowing, and she's doing the doing. So he would have allowed, il aurait permis. He would have never allowed, il n'aurait jamais permis, or you could drop the ne, il aurait jamais permis. He would have never have allowed her, il lui aurait jamais permis. So in other words, the lui is coming in there before the before his verb. Then he would have never, it's permettre à quelqu'un de faire quelque chose. So what he's allowing her to do, she's then got her own possible set of pronouns. I mean, it could have been he would have never allowed her to talk to me. Yeah, il lui aurait jamais permis de me parler. He would have never have allowed her to talk to me about it. Il lui aurait jamais permis de m'en parler. So in other words, there's then a separate set of pronouns that are in her verb. So this would work in verbs where you ask someone to do something. Yeah, he asked me to do it. Il m'a demandé de le faire. Yeah. In other words, he's asking me, but I'm doing it. Yeah. He asked me to speak to you about it. Il m'a demandé de vous en parler. Il m'a demandé de vous en. So in other words, but I get this, but Al's point is really valid. That it's like, ooh, but Luke, that feels weird because I feel like I'm splitting my pronouns. Because normally you sort of think that you put them together. So what really brought it home would be if I sort of deliberately gave myself the same pronoun in both. So hang on, how did I do this the other day? He would have never have allowed us to get washed. Bit kinky. Il nous aurait jamais permis de nous laver. So I've got the nous twice there. It's like il nous aurait jamais permis. You know, he wouldn't never have allowed us to, in reflexive verb, wash ourselves. So the demonstration that you've got two separate pronoun camps is quite clear there because you've got the nous twice. Yeah, they're both a pronoun, nous. Neither, it's not like one is a subject pronoun, like, you know, nous lavons. The first one is the person doing it. No, they're both in someone else's verb, but one is in his verb and one is in our verb. Yeah, so il nous aurait jamais permis de nous laver. Yeah. So, in other words, just try saying a few of these. So just try saying, if I write them underneath, il ne lui aurait jamais, so he would have allowed her to do it. Il aurait jamais, what am I saying? He would have never have allowed her to do it. Il ne lui aurait jamais permis de le faire. And then try and build up speed. So, il ne lui aurait jamais permis de le faire. Il ne lui aurait jamais permis de le faire. Yeah, keeping the math smooth. Let's do the one that I've just done. He would have never, I mean, I'm using, let's change it up a little bit. He had never let us get washed by ourselves before or something, whatever. Il nous avait jamais permis de nous laver. Il nous avait jamais permis de nous laver. Il nous avait jamais permis de nous laver. And then let's try to practice as well. He asked you to talk to them about it. Il t'a demandé de leur en parler. Il t'a demandé de leur en parler. Yeah, so il t'a demandé de leur en parler. So let's just pop those there as just some sentences that you could just practice saying this with. Now it might be completely obvious to you, but otherwise you might be going, well, why are we splitting the pronoun groupings? You know, why have we got some pronouns there and some pronouns there? It's because we've got different clauses. This idea, amongst you, my advanced intermediate lot, you really want to think about who's doing verbs. This is what, for example, is going to encourage when we use the subjunctive as opposed to not. So, for example, I love you, je t'aime. I know you, je te connais. I hate you, je te déteste. I want you to come. It sounds the same. I love you, I hate you, I want you to come. It's because in all the first verbs, you're just in the way of my verb. In the second one, I want, but you're doing the coming. So je veux que tu viennes. So that's why we've got the person one and their verb, que, and person two. This idea of who's doing both clauses is also really important whether or not we use the subjunctive. So for example, I'm happy you're going to Paris. Je suis content que tu ailles à Paris. Je suis content que tu... I'm happy that she's going to Paris. Je suis content qu'elle aille à Paris. I'm happy that I'm going to Paris, which is kind of what you'd say in English. Oh, I'm happy I'm going to Paris. But better French would be Je suis content d'aller à Paris. I'm happy to go to Paris. Because it would be implied that it was, you know, it was yourself. French prefers not to do the subjunctive for if someone is doing both clauses. So I'm happy that I'm going. It's like I'm doing both. Likewise, those of you who, and this is a really decent video, I will attach it underneath, absolutely après avoir plus a past, or après être plus a past, or avant de plus an infinitive, is really a bit of a struggle for most learners to begin with anyway. So after eating, après avoir mangé, after dancing, après avoir dansé, after leaving, après être parti, before eating, avant de manger, before leaving, avant de partir. Then with the pronoun, so for example, after eating it, après l'avoir mangé, before eating it, avant de le manger. So just as you got hold of that, I then came along and said, right, but that's great if the same person is doing both. So for example, after eating, Luke, washed his hands. Hopefully before eating as well. So for example, après avoir mangé, Luc s'est lavé les mains. Après avoir mangé, Luc s'est lavé les mains. If it were after eating, Alan made a cup of coffee, then that is where we would be bringing in après que and avant que. In other words, if two different people are doing both of those things, we'd use après que and avant que, and I've done a whole video on this. I imagine that Sandy Parsons, my lovely Sandy on a Friday, will be watching this as we speak. It was her homework. So in other words, that changes it. Yeah, so this idea of who's doing the verbs is a really good mental thing to get hold of across a lot of advanced French. So I hope this was useful. It might be completely obvious. Yeah, I just think it's good for speed. Now it might be that grammatically you can do it, which I think really is Al's case, but it's just in the mouth at high speed he wasn't used to doing that. So that's really what we want as well. Can I remind you, when it comes to speaking quickly, do not put any energy in the mouth. Sound does not need to come out of the mouth in French. Vibration can come out of here, 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 any secondary resonance location. So I really hope that helps. Good. I've got one more video that Al made me think of, and that will be going up shortly as well. So just little cute mini advanced videos for those of you who are at that level. All right, let me know, guys, if there's anything else. Anybody watching this, there's still a video being planned and organised, but it's just slightly bigger on meilleur versus mieux. I forget who asked for that. If you were the person that asked for that, can you just email me and remind me who you were? Because it'd be lovely to mention you, and other bits and pieces. All right, guys, speak very soon.